Hi, Dipali. It's
Hi,
lovely
Devna.
to see
Hi.
you. Um,
Lovely to see you
and
too.
right off the bat, I'm going to ask some hard questions, but I know you're up to the task. So, you're coming off a few weak quarters, but your latest quarter has been outstanding and one of your best yet. Did you expect this? Were you sort of planning for this?
So, Devna, we basically the market picked up, and I want to be very give you a perspective on this. Last year was a complete slowdown where I think it was an aftermath of COVID. The freight went crazy, the commodities went crazy. And as a result, the retailers had very expensive inventories,
Yes.
and so by the end of it, what we saw was the aftermath of the kind of destocking that they did. Everything now, so that's the reason the orders started coming in as well. So, yeah, that's where it is, Devna. But also, let me just give you a little perspective of what Welspun Living is all about today. So, it is, yeah, the core businesses definitely is a very, mega part of it.
Yeah.
Then you have the emerging businesses as well. So, yeah, so it's a combination of both last year. And I think always I've seen that after kind of these kind of contagious illnesses that come in, there is that kind of slow thing that happens to an economy across the globe. But yeah, that's where it is. Yeah.
And you were talking about now you're not just home textiles, you have flooring, your advanced textiles. Do you think all these diversifications helped and have helped? Because you've had reasonable growth in your flooring business.
So, Devna, this is all part of the vision that we have as a company.
Yeah.
So when we talk about home textiles, the clear thing that comes to your mind is that, Welspun India or Welspun Living is a manufacturer.
Yes.
But today, yes, B2B is an integral part of what we do. But yes, our consumer businesses also are taking on. And when we talk about flooring, which is a part of what we are taking on, this is going to be a part of a home solution that we have as Wellspun India or Wellspun Living now. So yes, that's where it is, and consumer business is going to be where we are going to be seeing India grow. And that as Martin Wolf has said that by 2030 or 2050, 30% India will be consuming 30% of the consumption more than United States of America. So you can really see that happening now. And India is growing. And for us, India is going to be a very important market. So is, of course, United States of America that consumes around 34% of world's consumption of home textiles as well.
Yes. And leading from that, given that India is a leader of export of home textile to the US with a very significant market share, you are at the forefront of that. But now that economy is growing at single digits, if that, that is going to be a challenge. So, how are you going to be tackling that? And also, Europe, people are almost proclaiming Europe as a near dead economy, which is obviously an exaggeration. But how are you dealing with this?
So, Devna, one thing let's be very, very, very clear. And as I earlier said as well, United States of America will continue to be this mammoth that's going to consume and guzzle the kind of home textiles because it consumes 34% of the home textiles globally. So even that single digit is important. But Devna, to your point, let me just give you a perspective of the landscape of retail in America first, and then I'll come to India as well. So when we talk about United States, you had a landscape of mass retailers. You had the clubs, you had the departmental stores, and we were the private label, right? And now, if I look at where we are today, the consumption of mass retailers is growing, and the clubs is growing, and the discounters is growing. Like if you saw the results yesterday, the discounters and mass retailers are giving a kind of positive and great results comparatively, and you will see the footfalls there. But it is the departmental stores that are struggling. Now, when I come to Wellspun, as where we are, I think we are not just doing towel and sheets. We're also doing fashion bedding. We're also doing rugs and carpets, and of course, the flooring. And for us, the whole thing is about the share of shelf. When I talk about the share of shelf, it is not just the core and the private label that I'm talking. I'm going to increase my share of shelf. And how am I going to do it? I'm going to do it with my kind of the brands that I'm talking about, the licenses that I'm talking about. And Martha came to India as well right now, and we have a license of Martha in America. So that gives me a share of shelf, not only in the terms of towel and sheets, but in the other categories as well, other retailers as well, which I'm not present otherwise, right? And I have something like a creative collab that I have these influencers on the West Coast, East Coast, and they give me a turnaround not just in United States of America, but in Canada as well. So that is the kind of opportunity, Devna, that happens. The other thing, important thing, India is at the forefront of outsourcing, and with where China is, and China will be continuing to do what it is, but I think India stands a great opportunity in terms of outsourcing and being the country of sourcing for a lot of countries now. So it's going to be also the displacement strategy that I think a lot of other people are looking at, a lot of retailers are looking at, because India is the strongest democracy and it is becoming that supply chain partner to a lot of retailers as well. So I think that's something I will see continuing happening, along with the share of shelf that we'll continue to take on. Now let's come to UK and Europe. UK and Europe consume another 34% of the consumption of home textiles. They are challenged. So I have tied up with a brand called Disney here, Disney Marvel here in the UK and Europe. That gives me an opportunity to get the share of shelf. There are a lot of retailers that you wouldn't be even aware of, Devna. There are not a lot of distributions that the brands go to, which we are not even aware of. So it also gives me that share of shelf and the extension of that share of shelf. That's going to be an opportunity again. FTA, which is right around the corner for UK, will be another opportunity where that we were at a back foot compared to the countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh. So I think that's going to be another important aspect when I talk about UK. Now, let's come to the other part of the rest of the world, which is like the GCC countries. We're definitely going to see a growth here. Now, with Australia, we already have an FTA. So that gives me an opportunity to penetrate not only with home textiles, but with my flooring and hospitality as well. Japan, again, is an opportunity because there's a displacement of China happening there as well. So, if I look at this kind of a global landscape, this is where India has an opportunity, not just Welspun. So India is going to be a very big opportunity. And, we've been into this market since 2003, when I started my stint into business, if you remember that, and I launched spaces here. Today, if I look at where we are, and I think uh, we have that lead here, and we are the highest distributed brand for home textiles now. So we are around 15,500 stores for Welspun in the MBOs I'm talking about, and Spaces is the most popular brand in the modern retail as well. So and we are looking, if I look at our 2026 numbers where we want to, and that's a vision, and that is absolutely, we are closing to that. We are looking at around 15,000
Crore.
crores for
Yeah.
Welspun Living, and with a CAGR of 23%.
Mm.
And retail is going to be 1,700 out of that. And 500 is going to be flooring as well in that. And if I look at the flooring business in totality, that's going to be around 2,500 crores, and advanced textile at 1,000 crores. And we can see that happen because if I look at the quarter three this time, our emerging businesses contributed around 28% to the top
Yes.
line as well. So, yes, definitely that's an opportunity, but that's a part of the strategy in the terms of becoming not only just an important B2B partner to our retailers and partners, but also a consumer popular brand, right? So
Yeah.
a B2C presence in India as well. So yes, that's kind of a thing that we have taken, yeah, going forward.
So, the anti China sentiment, do you think that is substantial right now, or are they coming back? Is that sentiment going to help the Indian sort of companies maintain their numbers even in a slowdown?
So let me give you a perspective here. China is something that we're seeing. Uh, First of all, China is the factory of the world.
Yes.
I mean, even to compete with China. China is a decade or decade earlier,
Yes.
ahead of India. And even in the terms of what we are talking about as an opportunity,
Mm.
China leads it, right? And they have an extension. They have their satellite extensions into Vietnam. They have satellite extensions into a lot of other countries, as we are all aware of. So definitely, China is definitely there. But yes, having said that, India has a great opportunity in the terms of the relationships that we have with a lot of countries and becoming that supply chain partner. So now let me talk to you about even cotton.
Yeah.
Earlier, China was the biggest exporter, apart from the biggest grower of cotton. But today, if I look at India, India is becoming the biggest exporter of cotton
Mm.
because of the Xinjiang cotton and the traceability issues that China had, right? And the kind of relationships that are happening. I think India definitely stands a chance there, and not only because of because China is at a disadvantage, because India has an opportunity here.
And as you said,
You have
India is a yes. As you said, India is a democracy where relationships are forged with the perception is with rational, sustainable partners.
Yes, you're absolutely right there, Devna. Because even if I talk about the whole supply chain,
Yeah.
when I talk about cotton, which is the raw material, and also in the terms of the manpower, I think we have it all here. And in
Yes.
the kind of infrastructure that we're talking about, the thing that I'll give you a perspective about flooring, and I think that's where we've seen the kind of an upside more, is where the focus, we are actually one of the most modern plants in this part of the world for flooring. And a lot of its supply chain is dependent on China. But we are indigenizing the whole supply chain in India. So that's a huge opportunity that we have. And also with the kind of MSME partners that build the relationships with. So today, Welspun works with more than 200 such kind of MSMEs here. So what is it doing? It is also building an ecosystem here, Devna. And the opportunity that we have, and I see as Welspun here, is about sustainability. That again is a very key index to whatever we are doing, where even our vendor partners are on a platform called SEDEX. 90 people have already registered, and we are continuing to grow that. So I think the whole thing is going to be in a way of sustainable growth that we are looking at, Devna, here.
So, pressure points, obviously, for the future do lie in the fact that the US is precarious, if yet growing. UK and Europe pose definite sort of risks. Freight costs, war, the recent war in Israel. I mean, has it had an impact? um, Obviously freight costs have started normalizing, but that all these things pose a threat, right? Like war, climate change, global instability. So how do you deal with these pressure points, even forex volatility? So there's sort of pressure from everywhere while there's opportunity. How are you dealing with that?
So, Devna, last year was a very interesting year for us and for me as a leader. For me, it was an introspection time to look at how we were working. And the thing is, don't the other industries work like this? Closer home, you have gold, right? When I look at gold, there's a turmoil. There's kind of an MRP that is set, but
Yes.
how do you work backwards? So now, post COVID,
Yeah.
the world hasn't been the same. It has changed forever and changed for good. So these challenges are going to be there. The war is going to be in it was Ukraine, and now there's another war that's coming. And the challenges will be there, the freight, the commodities. How are we going to take our destiny in our own hands? How are we going to look at ourselves is what we are working on, Dev, now.
Yeah.
The very big example I'll give you is about Pakistan. They only have one kind of cotton, okay? But they look at, they have the most competitive cotton. How do they do it? They made it into their advantage. So I think we have a lot of lessons to be learned, and that's what I did last year. So I'm very, very clear about it. There are going to be challenges, and they're going to remain. America, but we are very clear on our part of what we need to do here, and that's what we are focused on here in the terms of the commodities. Yes, freight had a challenge. Now we know. I mean, I went and met all the freight partners that we had myself.
Do
So,
do
how do
you
we
keep your contracts really agile now rather
they
than
have to be?
long
Yeah.
term?
And relationships, agile, open-ended, spot, everything. It's a mix of everything, Devna.
What about
For all,
climate
everything.
change on commodities? Climate change is a serious threat. How do you sort of plan for that?
Devna, climate change is going to be a reality. And I'll tell you one thing. We took this on very early. And sustainability, it is kind of, everybody talks about it as a buzzword. Somebody says RIP sustainability. Listen, it's for real. Sustainability is only the way forward to do business sustainably. Now imagine Anjar, and you know Devna about
Yes.
Anjar.
Yes.
We use 30 million liters of water there every day for our home textiles, but not a drop of fresh water is being used there because we invested in the STP there and we pay royalty to the villages. So the farmers get water for irrigation and there's, potable water for the communities there. Similarly, now with the green, the GHG emissions, we're going green as a company. And as Welspun Living, by 2030, we want to be green. And the other things as well, reaching out to communities, 100,000 people. We are working with the farmers. So they've not, this is going to be for real. It is about how you want to do business. For us, Dow Jones Sustainability Index is for real. We get measured every year. So our index is like now 59. I'm targeting 70. So I'll have to also look at my scope 3 now. Like I upcycle now rags at Welspun Living at Anjar and the other factories, and my women are using it to make rugs and carpets and cushions out of it, and they're earning around 20,000 rupees per month, and they're operating their bank account, and the child is going to school. So I think as it is all about everything, embracing the communities, looking at what the reality is going to be in the terms of sustainability, and we know this is for real. Let's face it, and let's be very, very clear that this is the only way we got to do businesses with. And it's going to be the only way forward for all of us here. So if we are not going to take that, and I always tell everybody here when I go on channels and speak about and share our numbers and results, I always say, please stop judging us and evaluating us quarter on quarter. Look at the long vision that we and the sustainable vision that we have. So we are going to be best in the terms of sustainability. We are going to be best in the terms of governance. Very, very clearly. And that is the resolve that Welspun Living has and I have.
That's fantastic, Dipali. Lastly, given the challenges that have happened over the last couple of years, you've been an incredible leader. I mean, I think COVID, even before COVID, there were challenges, but COVID and after that, there have been global uncertainties and threats that have come up that are new, that India hasn't seen before, that globally companies have not seen before. How do you keep leadership agile, mentally strong? There must have been moments in the last couple of years where you feel incredibly nervous for the future.
Yes, Devna. And it's for real. And sometimes as leaders, I think all of us go through our own phases where you wonder what needs to be done. But there's one thing that I always do, Devna, is about communicating very transparently to my teams, even the challenges. And it is about, collaborating and owning the responsibility together.
Yes.
So I remember the last year where, the commodities went up. But I think each one of us, even the factories, we all work together to see how we can make the product more competitive. Even during the COVID times, I was more in front of my people on the floor, celebrating with them every small thing so that, we are together.
Yeah.
And I think it's about communicating. And if I talk about the other things as well, um, industry 4.0 is for real, AI is for real, predictive analytics is for real.
Yes.
So for me now, my whole factories are working on industry 4.0. One of my programs which my teams took and led got an ASCOM award as well. So key thing is to get them and lead it and see for themselves, and make them your leaders, make them the owners of that vision is where things happen, Devna.
Yes.
Whether it's my, and I have 17,000 people. How do I inspire them? I have a program called Manthan where my shop floor people are recognized for kind of the innovations that they do.
Right.
So these are the things, that small things that really make a difference.
Dipali, do you think India is going to face its own challenges, unemployment, upskilling, lack of upskilling? Do you think there is going to be some impact of the global recession on India and Indian jobs for the future? Is that going to be a big challenge? Not to,
Devna,
not to mention AI.
yeah. So challenge, no. I think AI is an opportunity, and
Yeah.
it is about upskilling. So my teams at Welspun India, Welspun Living, are being upskilled. My blue collar are being upskilled for Industry 4.0. There are programs that I'm doing for my teams as well. So there is a challenge, but there's an opportunity.
Yes.
And I mean, we are talking about the largest population in the world. We are talking about the largest manufacturing in the world now. The most,
Right.
and if we talk about that, there'll be jobs for everyone here,
Yes.
and from the blue collar to the white collar to everybody here, and along with it the women now. And that's the opportunity that the government is giving us as well and getting recognized. So definitely, Devna, challenges will remain, but there are always solutions for everything as well. And we also have to, as corporates, take that responsibility and accountability to make that happen. It's not just going to be the government, we have to work together to make that happen.
Thank you, Dipali. I think you've proved to us all that if you're not dynamic, you're dead. And I think you have, and Wellspun, thanks to you, has an amazing future. And I can't wait to see what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Devna. Thank you.